Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome. We are so excited today to start our new show, Onwards and Upwards. My name is Tanya Friedman. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Connetics USA. We help healthcare organizations all over the US with the nursing shortage by bringing in internationally educated nurses. And I have with me my colleagues. We have Michelle Welch. Hi, Michelle. Welcome.
Good morning.
We have Elena. Hi, Elena. Welcome.
Good morning.
And we also have John. Hi, John.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. So I'd like to welcome everybody who's watching from all around the world. We have literally thousands of nurses all over the world that watch Onwards and Upwards, which is our new show for our live show for nurses all over the world. On the show, we will bring you information about licensing, about immigration, about nurses' experience. John is one of the international nurses that we're going to hear from today. And we also have a new segment, which is called our Client Showcase. So today we're going to be hearing all about Cox Health. And we can't wait to get started. I see we have a lot of people that are watching us. So if you are watching today, please put into the chat what your name is and where you are watching from. I know we have people watching from all over the world. And please also put in your questions. If you have any questions about the process, if you have of coming to the US, if you have any questions about Cox Health. There, and I see we have my colleague Kerry who's joining us as well. Hi, Kerry, welcome. Kerry, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Sorry, I'm out on a walk, so.
Okay, no problem. Well, it looks really pretty behind you, so welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to get started. I think before we start, I'd like everybody maybe just to introduce themselves. If you can just tell us who you are and a little bit about your background. Let's start with Michelle.
Well, good morning. I'm Michelle Welch. I'm one of the nurse recruiters with Cox Health. I started with Cox Health as a new graduate nurse, and I'm not going to tell you how long ago, but I have had such a good experience working with Cox that I now work in our human resources office and recruit for nurses.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And you look very young, Michelle, so I don't think it's that far.
Thanks for that.
What about you, Elena?
Good morning again. Thank you for having me. My name is Elena Bozek. I am the International Nurse Educator with Cox Health. Just like Michelle, I started with Cox Health some time ago, and I'm still here. I went through every step from floor nurse, grew up, and eventually I became an educator. And then I was blessed to get this job and educate international nurses since 2019.
Okay, fabulous, Elena. And it looks like you are you in the room where you do the international nurse education?
I am in one of the rooms. My office is very small, so it's not, but this is one of our credential lab rooms where we do education, yes.
Okay, which is great for people to see as well. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
John, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
My name is John. I joined Cox 2 years ago. I am part of a Cox International program, hiring international nurses. As of this time, I work in 7 West. It's a medical oncology floor where we take care of cancer patients, and we give chemo on that floor as well. We often get to have some medical surgical cases too.
Okay, thank you, John. And I know that all the international nurses all over the world can't wait to hear your story and your experience. And last but not least, Kerry, who's doing her morning exercise. So you think you get work-life balance at Cox? Kerry, do you want to introduce yourself?
So my name is Carrie Scott, and I work in the PACU, or more specifically in the perioperative float pool. And I've been at Cox 16 years. I just got my certification this year because Cox helped me get it. So that's been great. And Yeah, that's I'm in Oregon right now. I just
Oh,
finished
okay.
a run. So.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you for joining us, Carrie. Okay, I see we've got a lot of people joining us, and we've got a lot of questions coming in already. And I think we're going to get started. So let's go onwards and upwards, and let's talk about COX. So for many international nurses, starting off this journey of coming to the US, it can feel very overwhelming, very exciting, but also a little scary. And many nurses get very confused and don't know when to start. So I would encourage any nurse who is thinking of coming to the US to go to the Connetics USA website, where you can see the success path, which is like a roadmap that we have for you, which will take you through the whole process of how you can go about the journey of coming to the US. Starting with the NCLEX, going to preparation for the interview, the visa, the license credentialing, the get ready game plan, arrival sequence, and enjoy and prosper. And today we're going to be doing that kind of enjoy and prosper segment, because we're going to be hearing from John, who has gone through that whole success path, how he has actually got to the side, and how Michelle, Elena, and Carrie and all the COX team have helped him get to that stage, and hopefully that can be for all of you. So for many international nurses, they hear about California, Texas, New York, Florida, but for many international nurses, they know nothing about Missouri. They know nothing about Springfield. So Michelle, can you maybe tell us a little bit about Missouri, where it is on the map?
Yes, I certainly can. So Missouri is like smack dab in the middle of the United States. We refer to it as the Midwest. So it's a great place to live. In Springfield specifically, the population is around 170,000. So just to give you some reference, whenever I go to like a big city like New York, I always find it really interesting to think that there are more people who live in the state of, or pardon me, who live in New York City than in the entire state of Missouri. So even though it's large geographically, it's not as densely populated as some of the larger cities. So with that, there's just a lot of things to see and do outdoors. We have 4 seasons, and people here love to be outside. As you can see from Carrie, we're all really active. There's a lot of fishing and hunting, and people here will have farms. And so you'll take care of a patient who will tell you all about their cows. So I know more about cows than I would have normally. But, I live in Springfield, so I don't have cows. So it's just
not a prerequisite of living in Springfield.
So it is. There are no cows actually in Springfield. It's all of the people who live around us.
Okay.
So yes.
Okay. Elena, John, Carrie, what do you like about living in Missouri and specifically in Springfield?
Personally, I moved here in 2006, I believe, about 15 years ago. And we thought it's going to be for a short period of time, but here I am 15 years later, I'm still here. So it's really an awesome area to live, to have fun, to raise kids, to start a family. So people are very friendly. There are a lot of things that you take for granted here, you are not going to find in a big city. Let's put it that way.
Like what, Elena?
Such as, building relationships with people, kind and friendly. And usually in a bigger city, you expect people to be a little bit more distant or perhaps not as friendly with everyone. It's a safety thing, really. But here, everybody is very warm, and you can feel that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been to Springfield, Missouri many times, and people are just wonderful, warm, friendly, and welcoming. John, what do you like about Missouri and Springfield specifically?
Well, what I like about here is the fusion of having a city life and having a country life. So city life, where I currently lived at, I'm pretty near with to everything. I'm near to Walmart, Target, on all those commercial spaces. And like what Michelle says, I always get to have that opportunity to take care of patients who has like cattle, huge farms, and it's just like probably around 20 minutes away from Springfield. So having said that kind of setup, it's just you get to experience the best of both worlds. The balance of work and life as well. You can go to the lakes like as fast as like 10 minutes away from my place. You get to have experience trekking, hiking. So it's pretty much like everything that you could ask for, like outside work.
Okay, everything that you can ask for. That sounds fabulous. Kerry, can you tell us maybe about some of the attractions or some of your favorite places around Springfield in the Missouri area? Where's the best places to travel to in the surrounding areas?
I would say one of the benefits is that we're within driving distance to 3 or 4 big airports. So you have great options to fly out and see other parts of the country. I like the hiking and the outdoors, things that are available in the area. I also like that Springfield is safe. It's a safe place to have a family. It's a safe place to go out walking or to be out. You know, I feel like the crime is low.
Okay,
So,
that's important. That's very important, Kerry, because I think for any international nurse that's wanting to come here, whether they're single or have a family, you want to be in a place that's safe, that is family friendly. And it's also nice to have a big city, but not a big city that's like congested, like in New York. I mean, it's accessible to go to places like that, but not that it's so overwhelming.
yeah, I guess another big benefit of Springfield is it's affordable. We have some of in the U.S. It's one of the most affordable areas to live.
I'm pleased that you brought that up. We actually have a graphic which has got some fun facts about Springfield. So this was, you brought up affordable, and this is on this graphic. So there are 125 plus parks. The median home price is 116,000 K, which is fantastic. I live in California, and I mean you cannot get anything for that kind of home price. There's 1,000 plus delicious restaurants, 25 farmers markets, and as Kerry said, a 10% lower cost of living than on average in the US. 9 colleges or universities, 11 non-stop flights, 16-minute average commute. So that's also good because it's not, going to take you an hour to get to work. This one's an interesting one, 210 days of sunshine. That many nurses might think, well, there's, it's you wouldn't have that, so that's good to know. Over 8,000 pieces in the art museum, and this is a really interesting one. Number 79 on the best places to live in America. So if you think of all the places to live in America, and it's number 79, I think for any international nurse that can pique your interest. Because there are just so many thousands of places to live here, and that's pretty high up on the scale. And we have a short video that we're going to show now about living in Springfield. So while we're doing that, just sit back and enjoy for the 30 seconds.
And I choose to live here because Springfield is a place that I can enjoy a life I want.
I love the outdoors.
On the lake in just a short drive.
It only takes me 10 minutes to get to work.
Or off to anywhere in the world.
I know my kids will be safe and well educated.
There are really good.
Okay, so just a taste of the things that you can find in Springfield. Okay, I'm going to take a few viewers' questions. So I see that Rochelle is putting into the chat. Thank you for this opportunity. We welcome Rochelle. Every month, Connetics will be having a client showcase, and Cox is really a phenomenal opportunity. Rochelle is asking, are you accepting Philippine nurses without hospital experience as a community or public health nurse? So Rochelle, I would encourage you to apply to the Connetics USA website, and one of our recruiters can about your experience and see how we can help you. Michael is watching from Zambia. Hi, Michael. I'm from South Africa originally, so fellow African, welcome. We've got Hala, who's watching from Egypt. Is there other programs or jobs in us apart from the immigration program? When are the opening jobs in your specialty? So Hala is watching and we'll answer your question. Olo Solo is from Finland, who is a med surg nurse. My main question is here, would I be considered only for jobs around the experience I have as a nurse, for example? I would like to work in the ICU. Elena, maybe do you want to take that question and just answer Olusolo?
ICU jobs and not only at Cox in the United States, they are pretty demanding and the practice is very different. So I would encourage you to apply and we can discuss options. And perhaps once you know more about it, you may or may not choose to go with that. Probably John can tell you several ways, very important ways how the practice is different. So it's hard to explain how that different is unless you walk those shoes. It is different too. So I wouldn't say no, but yet, let's find out more about it.
Yeah. So Olusolo, I hope I've got your name right. And keep listening because John's going to share his experience of the differences. But I do want to say to you that if your goal is to work in ICU, that's where coming to America is just the most wonderful opportunity because you might start in med-surg,
exactly.
but there are enormous opportunities for you to grow into ICU as you grow your career. And it might just be a stepping stone.
Absolutely.
Because the last thing you want to do is come here and be put straight into, like, for example, an ICU position and to feel like you're drowning. And that's the last thing anyone would want. You're also asking about the Connetics scholarship. So please stay on until the end of the show. And we will share with you about the Connetics scholarship for the NCLEX. Cassie is a Filipino nurse who's working in Singapore, who comes from a community rehab hospital. Do you accept that kind of experience? So Cassie, it will be on a case-by-case basis for Cox. So we're going to be putting a link into the chat. Please apply to the link and one of our recruiters will be in touch with you to see if you would qualify for Cox. Okay, so Michelle, tell us a little bit about Cox Health.
I would love to. So Cox Health is locally owned and operated. We actually have 6 hospitals and over 80 clinics. Something I think that is really unique with us is Cox South, the hospital that we're actively recruiting internationally for, is our level 1 stroke trauma and STEMI center. On a typical day, we'll have about 500 inpatients. And then we also have opportunities in the community for some critical access hospitals where, like in Barton County today, they'll probably have 8 patients. So I love that there's just a wide variety of different opportunities within one healthcare system. For example, I never thought, I started as a nurse in med-surg and now I work in HR. So that's something I never thought would, be in my future, but I really enjoy it. So you just don't know all of the opportunities that are available until you're part of an organization like this. So I think something that's nice too about being locally owned and operated is that we'll do decisions that maybe financially it's not about the money for us. We really have a heart in the community and we want to do the right thing for our employees. So Carrie could probably tell you, she had a really interesting story with COVID. In the beginning, we closed down some of our surgery centers because we didn't really know what was going on. And instead of laying off our employees, we found other avenues for them to work in. So Carrie, bless her, has worked in so many different areas during COVID. She was just amazing. We opened up a pop-up childcare center for our employees since the schools closed. And Carrie was there and was like a school nurse for a while. So I just think, things like that, to be part of an organization that truly cares about your employees it's just really, you feel proud to work here. So I think I'm the only person who is on this that is actually born and raised in Springfield. So for me, it's, really important to be part of an organization because this is my friends and family and generations of it that have lived here that we have cared for. So it's really nice to be a part of that.
Wow, an organization with heart. That really says a lot. Kerry, do you want to share what happened? The story that Michelle was just speaking about?
Sure. Yeah. So I work in the a perioperative float pool. So we float to all the surgery centers. There's three areas where Cox does surgery within the Springfield area. So when COVID happened, of course, we cut down our surgeries from about 200 a day to 30 a day. So a lot of us worried where we might work and get a paycheck. But Cox was very good to reassign us. Even they kept us employed the entire time. I went from helping in the emergency room with the ambulances, screening COVID patients coming in on the ambulances, to working at a child care center, being the school nurse. Some of our nurses were working with supplies, helping with the PPE supplies, making sure that they were stocked. And some of them even painted walls. And they paid us our nurse wages, our regular wages, just to do work that needed to be done. They didn't drop us down. They even offered us jobs in the kitchen. They didn't drop us down our wage. Our wage stayed the same, but just put us to work doing something. And so we were really able to stay employed and get our regular wage through all of COVID, even though we worked in an area that shut down. So I really appreciated Cox for doing that for us, and also keeping us protected during COVID. They took on COVID like champs and kept us protected with all the PPE, all the staffing we needed.
Well, I'm so glad that you shared that, Kerry, because I think at the end of the day, an organization can be good to their employees in the good times, but when something like the pandemic has just happened and how difficult it's been for all healthcare organizations all over the world, to see an organization who is really goes the extra mile and really has that heart, as Michelle says, and supports their staff is truly wonderful, and that says a lot about the organization. Elena, why do you like working for Cox?
I've got another little good plug there, is that as the staff was short during COVID and we needed more staff, Cox offered bonuses that got us, if we were able to work extra shifts or wanting to work extra shifts, they offer a very healthy bonus to come in for an extra shift. And so we felt valued. A lot of nurses, there is opportunities to make as much money as you want to make if you're willing to work hard.
So lots of people around the world might be listening to that. Lots of opportunity to earn as much money as you want or need or want to send money back home. So an organization that values you even in the really tough times, and where you feel appreciated, so important. Elena, what about you? What do you like about working at Cox? You're on mute, Elena. There we go.
So Cox has been very, very wonderful to me, if you even can say that. It's beyond what I can describe. The opportunities are endless. So I had jobs from staff nurse to charge to leadership. Then I moved into non-clinical. Then I came in education. So just about anything you can think of in terms of opportunity for growth and career development, that was always something there. Additionally, they offer a lot of financial support as well. If you go back to school, they offer support for that. There are programs that enhance your career, and they have a financial part of it. And I see John is already on he had a ladder, step 5, which is the most paid, so he already knows what I'm talking about. So there are so many opportunities I can't even describe. So whatever you may want to do, or whatever your career goal may be, I can promise you it is a spot and an opportunity here.
Okay, so for a nurse like Olusolu, who ultimately wants to work in ICU,
oh, absolutely.
To do that, as Elena says, so many opportunities for you in the organization.
Yes.
John, for many international nurses now, There are a lot of opportunities for healthcare organizations wanting to hire international nurses. What would you say to any international nurse that is sitting at home right now or watching this show? Why would this be a great opportunity for an international nurse from your perspective? John, you unmute.
Well, coming here to the US offers everyone a great and vast opportunity for growth. So, like what Michelle and Elena are talking about, and even Carrie, Cox has a huge heart to its greatest asset, and that is its people. So they're not just like concerned about filling the needs for like staffing, but they're also they have great concern in making sure that everyone is like improving and growing in their like respective field. Like in my case, I have a solid 10 years nursing background, working in different areas. When I got in here, I was just blessed to work in a medical oncology floor, which is like my main trade. Coming here, I have experiences in giving chemotherapy, taking care of oncology patients, taking care of those people who are in their end of life. But here, it was just fully cemented by Cox giving me the opportunity to be certified in those areas. I got my chemo certification, which I've been doing for the past couple of years, not just in the Philippines, but in other countries like Brunei. I've been doing all those things, but when I came here, it was just basically cemented that I'm a chemo certified nurse. I took some modules, exams for me to have the certification, and on top of that, my manager also encouraged me if I can take the oncology certification exam. So that's pretty much like the peak of like you can claim to yourself that you are an oncology nurse. So I got those certifications with the help of Michelle and Elena's team and my manager as well. So in terms of like nursing, there's really a huge opportunity for growth for an individual to be successful. It just depends on their drive and their motivation and passion to succeed.
Wow. Well, you really are an inspiration to so many nurses who are watching right now, John, because at the end of the day, it's not just about the green card. Just what you've shared about how you've grown your career professionally in the last 2 years that you've been there is just so inspiring and so encouraging for so many people who are going to be watching. So let's talk a little bit about the International Nurse Program. Michelle, can you maybe share with us about the history of the International Nurse Program at Cox? Why did Cox embark on this endeavor? And tell us a little bit about that background.
Sure, I would love to. So I would say, even before we started to recruit internationally, we have had nurses that are international nurses that have worked within the organization. One of the nurses who helped me a lot when I was a new graduate, her name was Lynn, and she was from the Philippines, and she still works for Cox Health as a nurse practitioner now. So I'm sure you guys are all aware that there is a nation, or I guess worldwide, nursing shortage. So with that, we wanted to be strategic and think about all of the things we can do to help as we want to continue to grow our organization and as a lot of the nurse population retires. So we have our own college. Cox College is affiliated with Cox Health. There are several nursing schools throughout the area, and we hire about 200 new graduate nurses a year for our organization. So that's one pipeline, but what else are you going to do? Because all of the other hospitals throughout the United States are in the same situation. So that's when we decided to start recruiting internationally. We started with a smaller group and have just had so much success. We've learned a lot, and we have, I think, built a really great program. So the nurses are successful. So that is, kind of how we got started and why we're continuing to recruit internationally.
Yeah. And I think it also says a lot about Cox, Michelle, that you started your program. Was it in 2016?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So, I mean, you really started before many of the healthcare organizations in the US started bringing in internationally educated nurses. And I think, as you mentioned, it's well documented that there's a nursing shortage. And with the pandemic, it's really become, a nursing crisis. in the US. So it's not like nurses, international nurses are taking away American jobs. There just simply aren't enough nurses in the US. So bringing in international nurses is a phenomenal way of not only helping take care of your patients, which is the ultimate importance, but also helping your American nurses to have enough help and support and reinforcements. Yeah. Okay, so Elena, can you share with us what do you look for in an international nurse?
So to put it simple, I'm looking for people with a great attitude, a great outlook on life, and motivated and ready to learn. I think that's all it takes. Skills can be learned. Everything else, if you have it, it can be learned. Whatever you want to work, we will help you.
Okay, so there you go. You heard it from Elena. So I see that Geraldine is watching from the Philippines. Geraldine, if Geraldine wants to know, I mean, I think the fact that you've been doing international nursing for such a long time is something unique to Cox. And that you've learned over the years what works, what doesn't work in setting nurses up for success. Because I think Michelle said that, you want to set the nurses up for success, and you've had that experience. Most other hospitals haven't had that experience because they're only starting to do international nursing now. Can you share with us, Elena, what you've learned over the years of bringing in international nurses, of what works or what doesn't work, and how your international nurse education program has evolved?
So the program, what we call the International Nurse Fellowship program has been in place since 2019. And I had the pleasure, I believe John was one of the first generations of the program when I onboarded him. So was fairly new, grew quite a bit since then. And basically it's very fluid and changing all the time because we add education and classes and based on education, international nurses feedback. So whenever is a need, so education is really custom for them and it grows as needed. And perhaps if it's not applicable to the whole group, we do education one-on-one on whatever skills they may need to bring up to speed. So I'm very proud of this program. Probably about 95% or more of nurses that I onboarded, and there's been since then about 150 nurses that I onboarded, they are very happy with it. They feel ready to practice when we are done with the orientation, and I can't be happier, and I'm blessed to work with all of them.
Okay. So all of those nurses, I think, contributed to your education of how to help nurses to bridge the gap. John, and did you always want to come to America, by the way?
Well, this may come as a surprise to everyone. At first, it was difficult and it was a dreadful thing to decide of moving here, because prior to coming here to the U.S., my wife and I are working in Brunei. It's like 2 hours away from our home country, Philippines. So pretty much we have everything at our disposal. We have a great life there, great community, family, a great work. But the thing is, when my wife and I narrow down all the benefits and advantages of moving here, then we sat down and we discussed, we prayed about it, and then we just came here, packed our things, and came here. The advantages of coming here is personally and professionally. Personally, like what I said earlier, United States offers like a vast room for opportunity and growth for nurses, not only at bedside or hospital. It could be in the management space, technology space, if I may say. Those, because I'm currently enrolled in nursing informatics, so pretty much that space can be explored too. Legal space, there's like I've met a couple of nurse legal consultants. There's like huge opportunity for that. HR recruitment, like Michelle. So pretty much everything that you could think about I even met someone who's like a forensic nurse as well. So that opportunity for like nurses is just like limitless when you come in here. Um, there's nurse practitioners as well. So in every area, in every aspect, it's mainly about the education part. That's why my family and I moved here. I always believe that you can always earn money, earn a living as long as you know what you're doing and you know what your why is.
Yeah, what your why is. That's good too. That's very important. And so Meg is asking, how long is the orientation for international nurses, given the fact that they need to be orientated with the whole system and pass all the competencies needed to start as an RN? John, what were the biggest differences that you discovered about nursing overseas as opposed to nursing in the US?
Well, from where I came from, pretty much we use the same textbooks in school. We follow the same American standards back in the Philippines. I came from a JCI accredited hospital. It's a renowned accreditation for like setting standards of excellence in terms of nursing practice. So pretty much the practice, the principles, I'll say it's universal if I may say, but the huge difference is the electronic charting. So pretty much here, I've used to using pen and paper charting, where you have to write down doctor's orders in index cards, in small cards. You have to pass on to the next nurses. It may seem like it's Jurassic Age, but that's the reality. I was like faced in doing all those stuffs. But in here, we just like a touch a button, just hover your mouse, type in your keyboards, and you'll be able to generate all those orders of plan of care for your patients. So I'll say that everything is here is still like ordered by doctor, but pretty much everything is run by the nurses. Nurses here are pretty much empowered within like certain scope of our responsibilities. So once it's ordered, we can just generate all those order sets, and it's just entirely dependent on us whether those are like appropriate or applicable to our nursing care. So and Cox has a great onboarding orientation program for international nurses. So they prepare us professionally. Like what Len is telling, she's been really amazing in helping me and my other colleagues to have our transition here seamlessly. Personally as well, there are like different programs, mentoring and coaching programs that Cox offers, and culturally as well. So before coming here, we're required to take an English language exam. So pretty much it's basically test our competency on how we're going to like handle a basic communication with other people, especially to our patients. But pretty much in terms of like the local slang or the local language, I'll say that there's always a learning curve for that I have to learn. But my colleagues and my the other aides and nurses whom I'm working with, they're really amazing. They're really oriented with the local languages that they use here.
Yeah. And I can tell you, I've been here for 25, it's 25, I've been here for 21 years. And as I said, I came from South Africa as an immigrant myself, and I'm still learning some American slang that I didn't know. So we can definitely relate. Elena, on the clinical side, I know that Cox has got a phenomenal program and that has evolved over the years of learning how to set the nurses up for success, as Michelle said. And I know that Kerry's going to share with us some of the programs that the nurses can utilize in their career growth. But can you share with us about how the orientation works for an international nurse? And I think we have some graphics on this as well.
So the orientation that is, there are several parts of it. The International Nurse Fellowship Program has it doubled out in time, actually. We have about 10 classes that they take, just part of this program. And there are a lot of skills classes. Most of them are hands-on, such as physical assessment, mock codes, cardiac rhythm interpretation, and whatever is coursework. These are things that are refresher for international nurses. Perhaps are things that they didn't practice for a while, or We have a class on that covers a lot of law and regulations. These are fairly new for them. We have another class on med-surg pharmacology, and that is something that they need to apply. And again, it's more like a refresher, and they go through all that. Additionally, they have classes that are required for all med-surg nurses, and that's a bunch of that. And that is matched up with a preceptor on the floor. So we go parallel. So basically, they learn things in lab, they practice in lab, and then they practice on the floor with their preceptor. We keep in touch with the manager constantly. I mean, on every month or so, we have touch base with the managers to make sure they're doing okay. I touch base with them. So the goal is by 3 to 4 months, by the end of the orientation, we want them to be competent and confident that they will do well. So that anxiety is diminished and they feel good about practicing.
Okay. So I think anxiety is a big part of it. John can probably relate to that. It can be very stressful in those first few months. And that's where I think go to an organization like Cox, where they've had that experience of helping nurses to bridge the gap, is just so helpful. Elena, I know that recently you did a survey on the international nurses and on their feedback having gone through the orientation and orientation program. And we've put up some of the comments here. So I'm looking at this. It says, Cox Health help make sure the staff nurses are educated with up-to-date practice. They are the best. My preceptors are really cool and I learned a lot from them. Co-workers very supportive and helpful. Courage to step up and take the challenge. And so lots of very positive feedback. And I love that you're constantly evaluating the program and looking at ways to make it better and really help the nurses. Joanne is asking how to start the application. Michelle, how can somebody start the application?
So it is posted on our website. So if you go to coxhealth.com/careers, you can go to our website. And I think, did you mention that you were going to have a link in this as well for people to apply?
Joanne, there's a link in the chat, so you can go to that link and apply as well. I'm just seeing what other questions. So Erniel is asking, do you have available positions for dialysis nurses? So Erniel, please go to the link and apply because Cox does not have dialysis positions available for international nurses at this time. But we'd like to evaluate your experience just to make sure if Cox would be an option, and if not, perhaps we can help you with one of our other Connetics employers in the US. And Melita is saying hi from the Philippines. Hi, Melita. We've got John is watching from Edmonton. Michelle is saying thank you. Sunny from Dubai. People watching from all over the world. This is so fun. And Emelita is asking, do you have an age limit? I'm a medical surgical nurse for more than 18 years here and in Saudi Arabia. Michelle?
Oh my gosh, that makes me nervous just to hear that. We don't discuss age. We don't want to know your age. That's like a big thing here in the States. There is no age discrimination, and we would love to have an experienced nurse. We very much value experience.
Okay, there you go, Emelita. Your experience is valued in the US. Nobody can even ask about age. So as Michelle said, we'd love you to apply. We have Lena from India, who's asking how long will it take for Indian nurses to come to the US? So Lena, right now, only Indian-born nurses who have got a previous priority date can apply. Unfortunately, India and China are the two countries on the visa bulletin that are still backlogged. So keep watching, and hopefully we'll have some Congress change and Indian nurses will be able to come through to the US. But right now, only if you have a previous priority date. Meg is tagging her friend, Rona. Please tag your friends. The Onwards and Upwards show is here. It's free information for you to help you prepare for coming to the US. So it's our way of paying it forward to nurses and Cox's way of paying it forward to nurses. So please pay it forward yourself and share it with your friends. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Cox career opportunities. Carrie, can you tell us a little bit about the preceptor program, the STAR clinical ladder, the Pay It Forward program, paid certifications? I know there's so many wonderful career growth options at Cox.
Sure. Okay, so the Pay It Forward program is an opportunity to get your certification, and Cox will help pay for that. And so that just, I've been a nurse for 29 years, but never got my certification because I didn't really want to pay for the test. So Cox will allow you to do a project, and your manager can help pick the project, something that's needed on your unit. And then as you complete that project, you get a voucher to pay for your certification test. And then there's a timeline of study and then taking the test. So it's a great opportunity to get your certification without having to pay for it.
And
so that's the Pay It Forward program is what that's called. I'm sorry, I ended up on a street with a lot of cars. I'm sorry about the noise.
That's okay.
I'm a little bit lost, actually. I intended to be home already.
Good multitasking.
I intended to be home already, but I'm kind of lost. So. And then the clinical ladder is an opportunity to do several projects, and there's a different tier system for each section of the clinical ladder, and depending on how many projects you want to do, you can get a different level of bonus. So the highest level of bonus is $5,000, and then there's a $4,000 and a $3,000. So it just really depends on how much you want to work to get to that bonus level. You do have to be certified or have a bachelor's degree to be in this clinical ladder program. But because Cox will help you to get that certification, it makes it very doable to get that, to work on the clinical ladder. Most nursing managers encourage you to work on the clinical ladder and are very supportive and helpful in working through that process. And it's very doable. I decided to do the clinical ladder back in April, and the projects were all due by September 1st, and I didn't have any trouble getting that done to get to the $5,000 level.
Wow, that's very impressive, Carrie. Thank you for sharing that. Michelle, did you have something to add?
Yes, I was just going to add, so with your certification, if you have a magnet approved certification, you also make an additional $1 an hour. So money is a powerful motivator, I know, for all of us. And then I also wanted to say, part of the reason that we do the clinical ladder is, we find that nurses who are actively engaged in our organization are usually happier. So, we get the benefit of happier nurses that are more actively engaged, and then you have the opportunity to also earn up to that additional $5,000.
Wow, that is so impressive. And I love that you use the word happier nurses, because I think so many nurses all over the world right now are feeling burnt out, exhausted, both physically and emotionally. So to see an organization that is looking for ways to help nurses have more work-life balance, be able to earn more money, and just be happier generally, it is just amazing to see. And I'm so excited for all the international nurses around the world to be able to hear that, and thank you for sharing that. I cannot believe it. We are at the end of the show. The time flies when we are having fun. And we still have a lot of questions in the chat. So our team will go into the chat, and Cox team will also go into the chat to answer any questions that we haven't been able to get to. But I think to finish off now, I'd love for each of the panel just to maybe share with the global nurses that are watching all over the world, why Cox and why Springfield, Missouri. Let's maybe start with you, Elena.
So to put it simple, international nurses, I believe it's a very special group of people. I very much enjoy work with them, and I respect their motivation. They are very career driven, and for that reason, they are very teachable. So they are always up to the next challenge. These are the guys who generally speaking, don't matter if you're international or from the United States, these are the guys who will succeed. So if you want to move forward your career, if you want to be successful, we are here to help you. And just like Michelle said, I always tell my international nurses, if you're happy, you will have a great life. You're going to have a great career in the United States. So part of not only the teaching, but part of our job is to make everything as seamless as possible for you and the transition as smooth as possible. And so you practice to the full of your abilities, and you're happy, and grow up with us.
Okay, grow up with Cox. Carrie, what would you say? Final words to any international nurse watching. Carrie? Oops, Carrie, you're on mute.
I think Cox is a very supportive. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. I think Springfield is a great place to live in the U.S. because it's safe and it's affordable. So, like I mentioned before, I think Cox is a very supportive organization. We have a lot of international nurses already, so there's great community, and the support is already set up there at Cox. I also think Cox values their employees, and there's a lot of opportunity for growth and making more money for working hard. So I appreciate that.
Okay, wow, a lot of things. And I'm glad you mentioned that, Carrie, because we haven't really touched on that in the show that much. It's just the fact that there is such a big community of international nurses there already. And as an immigrant myself, I know that going to a new country, if there are a community of nurses or other people that have gone through that same experience when you arrive, that is really helpful, and that support. Michelle, anything to add? I know we've covered a lot of good things. Anything to add?
No, I think one thing that we talked about too is like the training. So I would just want to touch on that you're never on your own in this organization. When you come off of orientation, there's always going to be someone for you to ask. There's always going to be someone there to support you with whatever you need. We have, a dedicated international nurse educator. We have your preceptor on your unit, your nurse manager. Everyone is devoted to your success and development as a nurse. So I think that's, something that's amazing that you probably won't get everywhere.
Absolutely. Okay, and final words from John. John, how is life better now that you are in America? For many nurses, they talk about living the American dream. I mean, you are now living the American dream. How is your life better since you came to Cox and are now living in Springfield, Missouri?
Well, to other all international nurses like me, American dream doesn't start when you reach here. Your American dream starts when you start working for it here. So it doesn't end when you reach American soil. It only starts when you start working your best, doing the best thing you can, excelling in what you're expected to do, and then American dream happens. So I'll say it's doable as long as you are willing to be teachable, to be coachable, as long as you're willing to empty your cup. I think every limitless opportunity that you can dream of or imagine of, it's achievable here. So if you're looking for employers, don't just look for employers that will fill in positions, but look for employers whose main goal and desire to help you succeed and achieve the pinnacles of success that you've been dreaming and wanting for. Because I know for some international nurses, it's not all about money. It's about really growing themselves and making sure that their family's future is secured.
Thank you. Thank you, John. I think that's so inspiring. With Michelle, she's touched. We all are touched by your words, John. And thank you for encouraging international nurses and for inspiring them to also reach the pinnacle of success in their own lives and their own careers. So we're going to finish off now. I know that there were a few questions in the chat about the NCLEX scholarship. So I'm just going to share a little bit about the Connetics initiatives that we have going at the moment. So we have a free IELTS scholarship. We know that many international nurses are more nervous of the IELTS than the NCLEX exam. And all international nurses that go through Connetics, Connetics is direct hire, I want to mention, which means that Cox for example, or any of the other Connetics clients would be your employer sponsor, and free IELTS course for all nurses going through Connetics. We also have an NCLEX scholarship. This is new, and we are really excited about this. The NCLEX scholarship is for selected global nurses, and Connetics have a free review course which has been fully vetted, and we are getting phenomenal results. So you are welcome to apply and see if you are eligible for the NCLEX scholarship. We also have a $1,000 referral fee. This is something we started for Nurses Month in May, and we had so many nurses so excited that we extended it until the end of October, the 31st of October at 5 p.m. Pacific time. A $1,000 referral fee if you refer a nurse to us who has got NCLEX. And we have one nurse, I always mention him, his name is Jekyll. He's a Filipino nurse who's referred 110 nurses to Connetics. So Jekyll will be getting $110,000 and will be helping 110 of his friends. So please refer any nurses with NCLEX. If you have anyone, you can go to the Connetics USA website and refer them. We also have our Connetics podcast, Nursing in America, to learn about more stories like John's. And we are in the 5 top % of podcasts in the world. We have a nurse aid program for direct hire. We obviously have our Onwards and Upwards show every Friday. This is a live show where we talk about immigration, licensing, credentialing, NCLEX, IELTS, nurse stories, and we started our new segment today with Cox, which is our client showcase. Once a month, we'll be showcasing one of our Connetics direct hire employers. And last but not least, we also have some allied needs. So if you a medical technologist, medical lab technician, respiratory therapist, a cardiology tech, surgical tech, or sterile processing or more, please apply to the Connetics website and we'd be happy to help you. We went a little over time, but I really feel that we had such a fun show, so informative, sharing such great information. So I want to thank everybody on the Cox panel. If there are any questions we didn't get to, the Cox team and Connetics team will answer them in the chat. And I would say to any international nurse that is watching, you're welcome now to apply. We really want to help you to live your American dream like John, and onwards and upwards. Thank you, everybody. See you next Friday. Thanks to the Cox team, and thanks, John. Bye-bye.
Thank you.